It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy, and you can tell it's the fall season. And what's better than the fall? We're gonna have lots of stuff. It's the harvest time, you know, everything is done and ripe in your garden, especially after all these months of taking care of it and tending it, or cheating and just go to the farmer's market and buy everything. It's such a wonderful time to go to the farmer's market or the people's farms and stuff. Buying the produce locally and supporting our local farmers, great idea. So, Oktoberfest, yeehaw, let's start polkaing. Oh, there was a troublemaker. Oh, hold the lab. Running fast and the owner has to merch. And what, Miss Kelly Alice? Oh, so, we're gonna be making, what is it? A Schnitzel Viennese Style. What's Schnitzel? It's pork chops. A Schnitzel. And there's many different ways of making Schnitzel. There's Wiener Schnitzel, which is with veal. There's the, oh gosh, can't remember the name. Hung something. There's another Schnitzel made with chicken, etc. This is we're going to be making with pork. So this is going to be the Schnitzel Viennese style. The Viennese Schnitzel. And it's so simple to make. So simple. All we're going to do is have three bowls here. I'm going to have my flour, I'm going to have my egg wash, and we're going to have the breadcrumbs. Now for breadcrumbs, I'm doing it differently. We're having cracker crumbs, but you get the same idea. You want to have toasted crumbs rather than raw ones, because you want the crunchiness when we fry these. So we don't need a heck of a lot, because I'm not making, it all depends on what you're making. So I'm going to only put in like about, I got some sesame seed crackers here. And I also have some regular saltine crackers. Grandma and Dad always used to use the saltines, the Germans and them. Always had the saltines, and they would just grind this up instead of breadcrumbs. Or, back in the day, that's what people used to have bread boxes. Younger Generation X might know about it, but the millennials, you don't even know what a bread box is, I don't think. Because you guys always bought bread. You never had a chance to have homemade bread. Predominantly, of course, always strict exceptions, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not politically correct. So, we're going to have crumbs, so that's why they had the bread box. You had leftover bread, you would, chop it up, grind it up, whatever, throw it in the oven, toast it off, there you go, and you have breadcrumbs, throw it in a jar, and it lasts for quite a long time. One way to get rid of your day-old bread, because back in the day, mothers always made their homemade bread. So, we're going to be making crackers. And we're just pulsing this around. Now, I'm only using the difference of having the two kinds of crackers because I got extra crackers I want to get rid of. I don't eat all that, enough crackers to get rid of before they go stale or whatever. So while they're still crispy, I thought this would be a good way of getting rid of them. So then we're also going to put in a little bit of black pepper. Everything is to taste. This is the, mom and granny way of doing things. I'd say, to taste, about a half teaspoon. And then I'm going to do about a quarter teaspoon of mustard seed to make it Germany, more German. And about a quarter, that's a half, that's a little too much. Do about a quarter teaspoon of caraway seed. This will really make it really German tasting. There we go. So then we'll just take and buzz this up a little bit more. There we go, now we got a nice fine powder. These weren't getting ground up. Come on. So then we'll just pour this into our other bowl here. And now for making the Schnitzel. Like I said, we're using pork. And before I get ready here, I gotta make sure everything got flour. I need a little salt, of course, salt. It mixed in with my flour. You don't need a lot. There was already salt in the crackers. I had saltine crackers, so personal preference. Depends on how much salt you like. And, oh, there it is. A little more pepper. I got some of the crumbs. I don't need a lot, but just, you know, just to give it some flavor. There's nothing worse than having bland cooking. Oh, even though I was, you know, raised German style, Swedish, Norwegian, Scandinavian, English. There wasn't much English influence in my family, just mostly Scandinavian and German. But Dad, I liked everything bland, because that's the German cooking, you know, salt and pepper, that's about it, you know, basically. Maybe a cinnamon and something sweet, but that's about it, you know, or, you know, maybe nutmeg. But he wouldn't go for garlic or fennel or any spices, you know, oregano, nothing. Oh, he just hated spices. So Mom always had to make everything bland. So as soon as I moved out of the house, boy, I discovered spices and went crazy. And Mom would always come over and go, oh, God, is that ever good? Is that ever good? She loves spices too. Now, that's, the flour mixture is about, you know, whatever, about 6 to 8 tablespoons of flour. And then my third one over here is 1 egg and a tablespoon of buttermilk if you want, or a tablespoon of regular milk if you want. Personal preference. What do you want? What do you want? You know, so the recipes are very adaptable, you know, depending on people's taste. Instead of milk or, what was the other one I said? Water. I'm using beer because I want to get this really German-y tasty. So I put in a tablespoon of beer with 1 egg. And this is going to give it, you know, the spice. I thought, you know, Uncle Roy it up a little bit. So we got that going. Now, got our crumbs over here. Let's try to get this in order. And let's see, is the pan hot? Should be by now, yeah. I got my pan on about a medium. I don't want to go medium high because I don't want to burn it. And I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of oil. And this is heating up here nicely. Before I put that back on there, I don't want to get too hot. I don't want it smoking. There's nothing worse than burning. I just hate doing that. Because I got that electric heat. Oh, God, I hate it. You have no control over the heat when it's electric, you know? The only way to control it is take the pan off the heat, just like I'm doing now. And then I can put that back on. Okay, let that heat up a little bit more. And let's see. I'm going to wash my hands. Because I'm going to be handling the raw meat here. So I want to make sure my hands are clean. Personally, to me, I don't care. But I know my hands are clean. But, because I'm cooking for myself, so it doesn't bother me. But if you're cooking for your family or other people, for friends, guests, etc., you want your hands clean. You don't want them to get sick, you know. For this Callie and I, you know, we don't care. Drop it on the floor, she'll eat it. Nothing goes to waste. But anyway, it's just a good habit to get into handling raw food when you're cooking for others or even for yourselves. Go wash your hands, you know, I just don't want to get it dirty. Chance of getting sick. So, we're using pork. I got the pork chops here. Now, the best way to get them is to get them cut thin. You can buy them thinly cut slice. That's what you want to work with. You gotta watch it. I'm talking too much. You can get regular pork chops, and that are boneless and thicker. They cost a little cheaper than the thin cut ones. These are a little bit more expensive, but it saves time. But then pound them out. You know, put a piece of plastic wrap, boom, 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 pound them out. You want to get them thin as possible. So I just buy them already thin. Then we're going to take and just dust this into the flour a couple of times here. Just make sure it's well covered. You can just take off any excess flour. And then we'll just dip into the egg and beer mixture. Get that moistened. And then we're going to lay this into the cracker crumbs. And on the other side too. Just pat those in a little bit. Shake off the excess, and we can just lay that into our pan. So we just do this for however many you're cooking for. You can just take and lay these on the side on a plate if you want to, and then put them into the frying pan all at once so they all cook at the same time. I'm doing this one at a time here. That's not too bad of timing, so it's, just for me, it's gonna work just fine. I better throw a third one in here. I think I'll be sampling. In between the shots, we want to have a full plate when I show you the finished product. I know I'll be sampling these as I go along here. I won't have time to wait. It's Mama. Get out of there, get out of there. Wait for dinner, wait for dinner. It's like, oh, I just love this. It's like, couldn't wait. Okay, now let those fry up. Now with these made ingredients, you can put them in a Ziploc bag, save it. Same way with the flour. But don't save your egg mixture. That's going to get rancid and sour on you. So, especially I got the beer in there. That'll be preserved for a long time, but you just don't want to save any type of dairy products like this once you dip fresh meat in there. You don't want a chance of people getting sick later on. So we'll just let the Schnitzel Viennese style start cooking here, and we can start on our next recipe. Okay, now we're going to go on to our next dish, and we're going to be making some homemade onion rings. Ooh, these are really, really good. I used to make these downtown at the bar, and I couldn't keep up with them. The orders, I couldn't keep up. They were just so popular. Because you make them from scratch, they taste better. They're not the frozen kind. People just ate these up like hotcakes. But anyway, so I'm just taking my onions. You can use whatever onions you want, yellow, white, whatever. I'm just got some white ones because I just like a little stronger one. If you like a sweeter one, then use the yellow. But anyway, I just put them in a bowl here, and I'm just dusting them a little bit with just plain flour. And in the bowl here, and this is the tempura beer batter recipe. And we've done this before. It's just so easy. 1, 1, 1. It's 1 cup of flour, 1 egg, and 1 cup of beer. And because of being Oktoberfest, that's why I'm doing a beer batter. So we got the beer and everything. So then we just break open the egg. Again, if you have this at room temperature, the egg, it's going to be much fluffier and lighter. And if you don't want to use beer, that's fine. You can use milk or you can use water. That's also acceptable. And it still works out. You get a different texture though. With the beer, it's more of a browner, crispier batter. With the, I've done it with water, and it's a nice batter. And that's really nice and crisp too. It's lighter. It's more on the lighter side, where the beer is going to be a little bit more on the darker side. And then you get the beer flavoring, of course. But either liquid is going to work just fine for you. And then milk will give you a much more softer. It'll still be crispy, but it's going to be a softer texture to it. So it all depends on personal preference, what you like. Just experiment and play around with. I did the, well, this beer batter is great for chicken, fish, anything that you want to dip in. Good on vegetables too. If you want deep fried green pepper rings, we're going to do the onion rings. Green pepper rings are really good too. I used to work at the Four Corners bar in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin when I was in high school, my senior year. And they had deep fried green pepper rings there. Oh, to die for. Those were so good. And then they had this cucumber sauce to dip it in, like tahini. Oh God, was that good. Really good. But it's best to use the beer if it's already flat, because it's going to foam up on you. It'll calm down. Anyway, so we just mix these 3 together. And this, you don't want to try not to have too many lumps in, but like I said, over mixing is going to give it, tougher coating. You just want to do a quick few strokes and then stop at that. And you can make as much or as little as you want. This is a normal batch, but this is, enough to make enough onion rings to pique your taste buds, If you want to make more, then just double the recipe or however much you want to make. Now, like your little meat fork like this works perfect. It's really good. And if you don't have one of those, I've done plastic forks and just broken tines in the middle so that you end up with the two forks like this on the end. That works nice. You want your oil at 350 degrees. I got just a titch too hot, so I'm gonna let this cool off just a second, and then we'll be right back. Okay, now I'm frying these onion rings up. When I drop in the ring into the batter, I just take my fork and just kind of twirl it around a little bit just to shake off any excess batter. If it's too thick, then it's not gonna cook evenly. And then another thing too is when you put them in there to fry, because you're gonna have all different sizes of rings. If you put in a large one, depending on the size of your fryer, of course. If you put in a large one, then grab small ones, and then they can fit easier together. Instead of all one size at the same time, then you're not gonna get that many in there. You know, so you want, you're gonna have different sizes of ring because of the onion. So just take and do accordingly, mix large with small ones, etc. So you can get in as many as you possibly can. Of course, if you have a deep fryer and a big basket, throw them all in at once, boom, there you go. But not everybody has one. I do in storage. So this is my fryer for now. But just be careful now when you do an open kettle fryer to make sure you have your thermometer in there so you can constantly read the temperature, because you don't want to get too hot and cause a combustion and blow up or catch fire. So you always want to make sure of that. Also, when you put in your vegetables, then it's going to go down the temperature. So if you have gas, you can adjust it easily. If you have electric, it's going to be a pain in the butt. So you just have to do accordingly. Take your time, go slower at it, and then just keep your onion rings in the oven at 200 degrees, and that'll just keep them warm. And then we'll be right back. All right, so now those are done. Got those in the oven. Keeping them warm. Gotta add more to the selection here. Okay, now this is the pan fried up in the Schnitzel Viennese style in. So you can tell there's all these little crummy crumbs on the bottom, and that's what we want to keep. Just keep them in there. Because now we're going to take and do some potatoes. And let's see, put that back on. Medium to medium high. Now, German browns are little tiny potatoes that you take and boil first until they're done. Not overdone, fork tender, then cool them off. And then just use them at whatever, throw them in the refrigerator. We used to grow up with having bowls of cooked potatoes in the refrigerator all the time. So when they're starting to get, they're gonna go stale or get bad on it, then Mom would take and make potato salad of it because they're already cooked and ready to go. One of the other things too we used to make were not the German browns. The German browns, like I said, are the whole potatoes, and those are tiny, the little tiny potatoes, but then you deep fry the whole potato, so the whole potato is deep fried. That's why you want to use the small ones so they cook through thoroughly. It takes quite a while when you do those. But the other way we used to do is take the cooked potatoes and dice up into quarters, so you have big little chunks like this. Now we just take and you just fry these up. The nice way of doing it, well, you can do it any way you want, but the more tastier way, put it that way, is to use butter instead of putting in oil, because the butter is going to give you a nice, richer flavor, of course. So we're just going to add a little bit of butter. I got a tablespoon or two, depends, on how much potatoes you're going to do. Now, for the German way of doing it, back home it was always, a little salt and pepper, that's it, fry them up, boom, there you go. But what I'm going to do is, for more of a little, Uncle Roy twist there, is for the more German way, Did I save that? No, I just saved the crumbs. Oh, I threw out the other one. The flour. But we're just going to lightly coat these in flour. Not a heavy coating because we don't want a batter. But just a very slight coating to them. And you can toss these all together. Of course, we're going to put in a little kosher salt. Just, you know, personal preference, how much you want. You don't need to put a lot in. I don't know, about a teaspoon, depending upon even half a teaspoon. Depending on, you know, how much you got. And then I'm just going to do just a little bit of pepper. And then we'll just toss these around. And what the flour does, it just gives it a little bit more crunchy crunch to the potato. And we'll just put that right in there. That's why you don't want a lot of flour, because you don't want to, you know, throw flour in there. Just enough to lightly coat them. And then we just fry these up until they get nice and golden brown on one side and flip them around to the other side. Now what you can do too is, if you wanted to, making the potatoes, is you can take it for just a simple dish, or a simple dish, but I mean when it's more sustainable, is you can throw your meat in there too. You can do any type of wurst would work great. Bratwurst, the Polish wurst. There's all different kinds of wurst. And what wurst is, W-U-R-S-T, it just means sausage. So whatever kind of sausage you want to get, you can get the Polish kielbasa, you can get German brand Polish sausages, beer sausage, you know, it's all different flavors. And it's great when you find a meat market that still does, you know, makes its own sausages and bratwurst and stuff like that. Then they taste so much better. Oh, there's a huge difference in flavor. Now, Olmsted's over here in Crystal, they're butchers, and they make everything from scratch. So their sausages and that, they got a whole, they never had it before, but now they got a whole stand-up freezer of all their sausage products and that. I don't get plugged or paid for doing them. I'm just saying this is a great place to go and get them at a reasonable price. Because I know they've got the best potato sausage. Oh God, is that ever good. That's real popular at the seasonal time during Christmas. But they still got some right now they're just starting to make. Because it's been in such demand. I think I've been plugging on my show too many times. But they've been doing it constantly, you know, year round, so which is great, because I love that stuff. But they got their homemade brats. And so for this here, for another German treat is like the German fried potatoes. And we're putting in bratwurst that has cheddar cheese in the meat, in the filling. So this is another meal that you can just totally make by itself. I mean, I've done this many times. I'll come home and just throw in the potatoes and slice up a bratwurst and throw it in there. Now I already had this pre-cooked because I cooked off, when I do bratwurst at home, I'll cook them off, you know, maybe 3 or 4 of them, whatever, and eat maybe 2 and then save a couple later for another meal or something. You can just dice up, add to your potatoes, etc. And you're by yourself, you know, you gotta plan these things out. It's not like cooking for the whole family, and then everything's cooked and done, you know what I'm saying? You don't have hardly any leftovers. So we're just gonna let this heat up. Sample, Scarlett. And be right back, then we'll dish up for our Oktoberfest. And now, I want to make just a little gravy for the Schnitzel Viennese Style. I don't need a heck of a lot here, but with this, the simple gravy. Because we're going to have still using the same pan. I haven't washed it at all, because I want all these flavors and seasonings from everything mixed in with the gravy. It makes it a much more richer gravy. So we're just going to let this melt down. And we're just making the roux, which is just butter and flour mixed together. Now be careful when making roux. This is where people have a lot of problems getting lumps in their gravies. Because what you're doing is they make a roux, but they make it too much flour in it, and it's too dry. You want your roux to be on a pasty side, more like cream of wheat. So that tells you how much flour to put in. So if you put too much in, you got to add more butter. So just like I said with everything else, just do a little at a time. You can always put in more, but you can't take it out. So just go a little bit of flour at a time here. Oh, excuse me. And I'm just sprinkling in just a little bit. You don't want it runny soupy, you want it on the thicker side, but like I said, like cream of wheat. That's just the perfect consistency. And you want to keep this stirring. Now you can see how I got that there. It's not too thin like watery, so it's just a nice consistency. So, I mean, this is what I'm doing. If you want more gravy, then you just add more butter, make more flour. I'm not making a large batch because it's just me, you know. So then, I'm going to add, about a teaspoon of beef bouillon. And we'll just mix that in. And you want to get the bottom of the pan there and scrape in those crusty, you know, bits and everything else from left over in the pan. So mix that all together well, because that's all going to add great flavor to this. Now you can take and use water, milk, beer, whatever you want for your liquid. I usually like to use water. That's why I have the beef bouillon in there, so that to get a watery taste. It'll get it much more richer with the bouillon. Well, like I said, you know, a little goes a long way, so you don't want to put a lot of bouillon in there. Otherwise you get too salty on you. And see how that's cooking up like that now? It can come in a nice gravy. I'm going to add a little bit more water because this is thickening up. Just a little at a time. Bring it back to the heat and bring it back to a boil again. And that will take and thicken up then right away as soon as it starts boiling. See, we got a nice thick gravy here without being too thick. See? This nice, smooth gravy. Look at that. Ooh, that's nice. Nice brown gravy. So now, make sure you turn off the heat, boom, boom, boom. Okay, and then we'll dish up and get ready for Oktoberfest. All right then, this is our lovely Oktoberfest meal. Here's the Schnitzel Viennese style, along with the German fried potatoes and bratwurst and cheese inside, and our homemade onion rings in a beer tempura batter. So from the Northwoods Cooking Show, I want to say, eat healthy, be safe, spread the sunshine, and prosit!